Welcome, everyone. And reminder, graduates, get in line a couple of people before your name is called so that we can move right along through. And now, without further ado, our illustrious singing group, the Logarithms.
Yeah, let's stagger a little bit. A few people step forward. Yeah. You guys get in the end? Okay. You might have to hum it, guys. 4, 3, 2, 1. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people. Countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people. Say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no emission. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or pipelines. A fossil fuel ban. Imagine all the people living carbon free. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Everybody! You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. One more time! You join us. And the world will live as one.
Oh, thanks so much to the logarithms. I'm Indy Burke, and I'm the Dean of the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, and I want to welcome you all to the 2018 Commencement. Welcome parents, grandparents, siblings, spouses, and families. It's really a pleasure to have you with us today, and a special congratulations to the class of 2018. Today is the best day of the year. It's the culmination of countless hours of hard work and commitment, and it's the day when we formally recognize your accomplishments. We celebrate today 12 students who've successfully completed their PhDs. Their topics of study are incredibly diverse and include systemic climate risk, gray water and urban anthropology, air pollution and birth outcomes, salt marsh ecosystem function, legality verification in forest products markets, the formation of soil carbons, solar installations on public lands, and much more. One of our graduates will receive a joint degree with anthropology, which shows you a sense of the really exciting interdisciplinary scholarship in our school. We have 12 graduates who are getting Masters of Forestry, 5 receiving the Master of Forest Science, 112 receiving the Master of Environmental Management, and 14 receiving the degree of Master of Environmental Science. Our students are the tangible results of our partnerships. Listen to the joint degrees. 17 graduates are receiving joint masters with the Yale School of Management, 4 with the Yale School of Architecture, 1 with the Divinity School, 1 with the School of Public Health, 1 getting a joint master's with a Juris Doctorate from the Yale Law School, 1 with a JD from the Elizabeth Howe Law School at Pace University, and 1 from the Vermont Law School. We also celebrate today the first 4 students receiving joint masters of environmental management with the Environmental Engineering Masters from Tsinghua University in China. All of you who are receiving your degree today have accomplished a huge amount. It was hard to get into the school, and we've expected a lot from you. And in turn, you've given a lot to our community. You've worked hard, you've played hard, you've learned from our faculty, and you've challenged us and learned from each other. You're all extraordinary. Graduates and guests, the faculty is the heart and soul of an academic institution. The faculty members here in our school are internationally renowned for developing new knowledge, new analyses, and new approaches to solving environmental problems. They've engaged these students in their learning and have guided them in developing their own analyses. It's been a great pleasure for me to work with this faculty during my short time here. Faculty, please stand and be recognized for your important contributions. The staff here in our community at F&ES is a really important part of our community. From the moments you graduates submitted an application to every trick you took, every classroom you sat in, every event scheduled, to every bit of software you used, the staff supported you. The F&ES staff, I note, have given up many of their seats to stand around the edge, but I want you all to know who you are and wave your arms or stand. Let's recognize the F&ES staff. graduates, all of you succeeded because of your hard work, but also because of your support from your partners, your friends, and your families. These are individuals who have invested in you, and they've given you advice and support of all kinds. Class, I'd like to have you stand and recognize your families, please. I myself have been here only a little tiny bit longer than you have. I think of you as being in my class or me as being in your class, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the past year and a half or more. In many ways, we've spent the most important months in recent history for the environment together, and I want to talk a little bit about that before I give you your diplomas and say goodbye. We've been in a special place together, a pretty secure place together during a very unsettling time. The planet got hotter. The 2 hottest years on record happened while we were here. We just reached a record low for Arctic sea ice. We've had record environmental disasters in some of the places you come from the worst wildfires and mudslides ever in California to horrendous hurricanes that still leave social justice travesties in Puerto Rico and dropped a record 60 inches of rain on Texas. Even so, our nation announced its intention to withdraw from the Paris Accord on climate change. Ethnic cleansing continues to occur in the Middle East, and we find racism across our own nation, disturbingly, on our own campus and in both the history of our school and the current implementation of conservation. We have this year together experienced a national awakening to sexual harassment and reporting of sexual harassment that pervades our society. In short, there's a lot to be outraged about during the last 2 years, whatever your beliefs and values are. And you have been what we need here and what the world needs. You've been alive, intelligent, articulate, and outraged. We know from our history that enraged, engaged, and active students create all kinds of discomfort through their outrage. And in doing so, you change the world. National and worldwide attention focuses on student outrage, and killing has been stopped. We need you, and we need you to continue being smart, passionate, engaged, and even outraged beyond your graduation or your commencement into your new working lives. But before I continue to encourage your outrage and your willingness to bring new knowledge and leadership on things that need changing, let me just give you a few words of caution about outrage. We feel outrage when we're certain that we are right. But we know, as scholars and scientists, and indeed as ethicists, that we might be wrong. And it uses a lot of time and energy to engage in outrage. We need to be strategic and focus our energies. I've just finished a bit of a profane book, which I recommend and I will rename to be a little more delicate for the moment, called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Darn, a counterintuitive approach to living a good life by Mark Manson. Manson writes about the addictive attraction of being outraged. He quotes Tim Kreider of the New York Times saying, "Outrage is like a lot of other things that feel good, but over time devour us from the inside out. And it's insidious because we don't even consciously acknowledge that it's a pleasure." Manson goes on, "We should pick our battles carefully while simultaneously attempting to empathize a bit with the so-called energy. We should approach the news and media with a healthy dose of skepticism and avoid painting those who disagree with us with a broad brush. We should prioritize values of feeling honest, fostering transparency, and welcoming doubt over the values of being right, feeling good, and getting revenge. These democratic values are harder to maintain amidst the constant noise of a networked world, but we must accept the responsibility and nurture them regardless. The future stability of our political systems may depend upon it." There's a lot in that quote about still finding humility when we're outraged. and recognizing we could be wrong, about listening to those with whom we disagree and being respectful and being strategic in our outrage. We can choose what to be outraged about and what not to be outraged about. Just in this last few months, as we have been focused very much on our individual struggles, our reports, our exams, our theses, grading, the flu, and the critical and poignant discussions within the school, in just these few weeks, there have been some critical assaults on the environment, on human health and environmental justice, and on biodiversity that have wrought my own outrage. I'm going to share some of those with you, while I know I display my own certainty and values with all their limitations. There's a new secret science rule produced for the EPA with almost no time for public comment that would eliminate any epidemiological studies of dose response or human harm from toxins being used to produce rules to keep people safe. You have until May 30th to make comments. The efforts proceed this month to enact a proclamation to reduce national monuments by more than 2 million acres, with dramatic effects on indigenous peoples as well as recreationists and biological diversity. A third attempt was made to roll back regulations on methane, which is quite a bit more powerful as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. Efforts proceed to roll back the Clean Power Plan and the Waters of the U.S. rules based on very good science. Public comment is due today on whether there can be a regulation on pollutants that move from sources such as coal ash ponds into groundwater and into drinking water. 2 weeks ago, the Interior proposed that we remove protections from species listed as threatened. Just last week, Interior proposed massive cuts, if not complete repurposing, of the Land and Water Conservation Fund, established in 1964, to safeguard our natural areas, water resources, and cultural heritage. And last week, federal support for Puerto Ricans dried up. There are tens of thousands who remain without power in a stunning example of disregard for environmental and social justice. It's a time for outrage, and it's a time when the world needs your leadership. It needs your leadership, your scholarship, and your continuing discretion about where to aim your outrage. We put our faith in you. You're among the most brilliant, passionate, strategic, and energetic individuals I've ever known. You will be leaders, as are our other 4,900 alumni all over the world, making a difference in NGOs and state and local and national and international agencies and universities and companies and local communities. Today, we launch you upon the world, another 156 environmental leaders and scholars to move the world forward. Look around and think about what your peers are going to do in the coming year. The sheer enormity of the capital you represent in intellect, knowledge, creativity, energy, and support for one another is immeasurable. You and your classmates will be leading for decades, far longer than any political term. Imagine the places you are going. Four of you are starting new doctoral programs. Our doctoral graduates go on to assistant professorships, postdocs, and work with NGOs. Others of you have received a huge array of employers and titles that include solar expert with General Electric, the Alaska Supreme Court state clerk, renewable finance and strategy expert, environmental officers with USAID, communications and aquaponics director, legal intern for energy systems, sustainable source manager for Unilever, wood supply and forestry specialist for IKEA, forestry technical support with the Bureau of Land Management, food policy manager with the United Way, global supply manager with Apple, consultant with the World Bank Group, and much more. And you're going off to areas of the globe from New England to Alaska, Arizona, Texas, and to Hong Kong, the Netherlands, Brazil, Sweden, the Philippines, China, Bhutan, and more. Some of you are adventuring for a year longer while you figure out what you'd really like to do, what the ideal job is, and I have confidence that you'll find it. But in sum, we are launching one of the world's most powerful forces of environmental leadership into career paths across the planet. I'm inspired by your successes, by your scholarship, and by your outrage. And I've gotten my optimism from you, and I hope you can do so as well, trusting one another to lead. I know the world is in better shape with you in it. Class of 2018, you amaze us. I know that each of you is in a time of change when the world is changing incredibly rapidly. And transitions historically bring great leaders. You will be among them. Thank you for all that you have given to each other and all that you've given to our community. Thank you for giving us optimism. Thank you for challenging me to learn and grow in my first years in the school. Stay close to each other, keep those friendships alive. Stay close to the school, come back often, make a difference in the world, and share your expertise and experience with those who follow in your footsteps. We're proud of you now, but we'll be even more proud of what you accomplish in the future. And we're counting on you. Thank you.
Welcome, class of 2018. Welcome, friends and family, staff and faculty, and all those who have come to honor our graduates. My name is Brunilda Pizarro. I'd like to remind everyone that today we are on the land of the Quinnipiac people. I stand here today at this podium on the shoulders of a growing tradition of alumni of color, such as Adrian Salazar and Nico Alexandre, change makers who have left an indelible mark at F&ES by speaking up for marginalized voices. When I was 7 years old, I vividly recall going door to door with my father to get neighbors to sign petitions against our landlord's illegal practice of garbage incineration. To address the urgent health and environmental concerns in our building, my father spearheaded a grassroots tenant association. Their efforts led to a collective 6-month rent strike that successfully pressured the landlord to halt such practices. He and others tirelessly fought the landlord to ensure our survival and well-being. My father was an environmental justice organizer and public health advocate, even if he didn't know it then. So many issues experienced by Black, Brown, and Indigenous people can be attributed to the environment or environmental conditions that they face daily. This is not something you just read about in a book or a scholarly article. It's a lived experience. It goes beyond the theoretical frameworks of the academy. Yet these marginalized voices are muted at F&ES, a residual legacy of colonialism and racism that we have inherited as students of this institution. Many of the students here may remember that during Admitted Student Weekend, a panel of professors addressed our class, emphasizing the school's global focus. As I sat in the audience, I recalled my cab ride from Union Station to main campus, where I passed what is locally referred to as the jungle, a 2-level public housing complex across the street from Union Station. The jungle is an intentional manufacturing of the racial and economic polarization that persists in New Haven, a reality I couldn't overlook in my first minutes in the city. Recalling this observation, I asked the panel, quote unquote, I understand that F&ES has an excellent global presence, but what is F&ES doing to address the environmental concerns in our own backyard, end quote. A faculty member responded, quote unquote, you don't come to Yale to do local. If you want to do local, you can go to Southern or UConn, but you don't come to Yale to do local, end quote. The term local here is coded for the Black and brown underclass who are assumed to be at fault for their own shortcomings. With such a large Black and brown residential community surrounding Yale, where environmental issues are experienced daily, such a statement can be interpreted as a relegation of those Black and brown bodies to an inferior status. And by ignoring this inequality, the environmental crisis increases in its severity. It is through this framework that we can critically assess race relations at FES and its reflection of American society. Because how can we claim to be experts and engage with environmental issues abroad if we haven't been able to confront the stark racial and socioeconomic realities in our own backyard? We have a moral obligation to do more. These issues are neither ahistorical, apolitical, neutral, nor objective. This world is much more complicated than a set of figures. We need to humanize these lived experiences, and the social sciences, in partnership with other paradigms, can provide an opportunity to elucidate humanity. A critical historical analysis is necessary to move us forward. We cannot forget that the founders of our school, including Gifford Pinchot, espoused eugenics and pushed forward racist policies to dispossess Native people of their land. Our work should address these difficult issues and does not end today. People are dying prematurely from the downstream effects of environmental injustice, and I'm inspired by the courageous students in our class who recently demonstrated a commitment to justice. Thank you for risking your credibility and leveraging your privilege. Thank you to those who listened and were willing to come to the table to engage in these difficult conversations. You embraced the love and forward thinking needed to solve our most challenging environmental and societal problems. You have given me renewed hope. The FES community has taken on new form. It has been set on a path for transformative change. That said, to those of you who are uncomfortable with this, who struggle with this reality, I ask that you sit with your discomfort. Critical dialogue and discourse should not be taken personal. It is necessary for these conversations to be had in the academy without repercussions. If the FES community is to be a truly safe environment, we need to listen to faculty, students, and staff who express a critical perspective, who pose questions and critique the dominant narrative. It's just not enough to say that we're not racist. We have to be actively anti-racist. It has been said at FES that hiring faculty of color requires lowering the standards of this institution. To deny access to this privileged discourse is to reinforce the colonial relationship whereby the neo-colonialist continues to extract and exploit indigenous and local knowledge, returns to the academy, claims authorship, and gains social capital, as opposed to seeing the Black, brown, or indigenous person as a partner in epistemology and the production of knowledge. White supremacy denies equity and it increases the viability of this suffering. Again, I want to thank the students who operated outside conventional practice at FES in order to highlight the inequalities in our own community. It is my hope and prayer that these actionable steps intended to increase dialogue are not met with repression and recalcitrance. The students who have engaged this process operated from a premise of love. As a result, I hope that FES continues to be a premier environmental school, one that is inclusive of varying perspectives and beyond scholarship stands boldly as a school that is intolerant of racism and is led by its moral compass. After all, excellence begins with our own internal transformation. I want to end by saying that I'm inspired by you all and have great hope that this graduating class will create the necessary change required to address our most pressing environmental challenges. Remember that the decisions you make in your professional careers can and will impact those with less privilege. Be the change, be fearless, and spread your love. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you so much, Bruni. Can we give one more round of applause? That was... Whew. Okay. Wow. You all look amazing. I think I misunderstood the cap and gown assignment. I'd like to thank the Graduation Speaker Selection Committee's momentary lapse in judgment for putting me up on this stage in front of you today. This is gonna get weird. In a good way. Fun weird. No, really though. Thank you to whoever thought it would be funny to nominate me for this. And thanks for everyone who voted for me to be one of your graduation speakers. I really can't believe this is happening. When you asked me, what do you plan to speak about at graduation, I replied, oh, I don't plan to speak. I plan to do an interpretive dance of my thesis, which is itself an interpretive dance of the history of interpretive dance in New England forests. And you voted for that. You did this. You brought this upon yourselves. I also promised I would treat you, the audience, to a selection of performative rodent noises I've perfected during my tenure at Yale. Like many of the great politicians who have graduated from this fine institution, I won't be keeping all of the promises I made to you. It's really out of my control. I was told by the authorities that my dancing is too powerful for a Monday. And I must admit, it's true. Can I make it up to you with a couple of my favorite rodent noises? Yeah, you want to hear some rodent noises? Okay. Here goes. The common gray squirrel. Just kidding. Squirrels don't sound like that. But you knew that. You all are good. You must be forestry school students. Okay, how about the rare wally-fanged titty fritta? Okay, you ready? Okay. Just kidding. The wally-fanged titty fritter doesn't sound like that. That animal doesn't even exist. Yet. I can't believe I'm doing this. I really can't believe I'm standing up here doing this. Really though, it's such an honor and a privilege, and I'm taking this very seriously. You know, it's been a whirlwind. I don't know if you knew this, but the Yale Corporation actually took Bruni and me out to a really fancy meal to congratulate us on being graduation speakers. And they said, Emily, Miss Sigmund, you know, we're really excited that you're going to be speaking at graduation. And we want you to be the first to know that right after your speech, we are going to be making the big announcement. The big announcement? I asked. Why, yes, said the Yale Corporation, the big announcement. It's finally happening. Yale University is divesting from fossil fuels! Woo! Just kidding. The Yale Corporation doesn't sound like that. Do you all like bubbles? You know, I've heard a lot of folks say that Yale is a bubble. I think in some ways Yale is a bubble, and in some ways it's not, and in some ways everything is a bubble, and in some ways it's not. And either way, I have to say that if I had to have gotten stuck in a bubble. I feel like a pretty lucky critter to have gotten stuck in this bubble with all of you. For many of us, deciding to plunge into the bubble was a big decision. I know it was for me. I received my acceptance letter to F&ES a few days after coming home from my third round of cancer treatments. The universe asked me in that moment, is this where you would go if you knew it might be the last place you ever went? And I said yes. Something in me knew that this was the bubble for me. I came to F&ES full of optimism, and grace, like a mirror, reflected my hopes, aspirations, and predilections for thin crust pizza squarely back at me. I had been searching my entire life for a companion that could match me in my cunning, one might say rodent-like, abilities to scavenge for free food. Imagine the shock, awe, and unbound romance I felt when I came to F&ES and found myself regularly outmaneuvered by roughly 300 of the swiftest and most cunning free food vultures the world has likely ever produced. F&ES, in this bubble, you sang me songs about plants and rode bikes with me to the beach and shared food with me at your potluck dinners. According to my calculations, you've made 30 gallons of kimchi, drank 987 liters of pretty okay beer, and sent 80,592 WhatsApp messages. All in one night. You helped me find shelter beneath... You helped me find shelter beneath the shrapnel and falling debris of what used to at least masquerade as a functioning political system. You kept me awake to the persistent injustices of a world that still insists on systemic oppression, even and especially within our own walls. You planted seeds with me. You helped me grow a garden in a courtyard. You helped me tend a forest in my soul. I learned one morning in silviculture class, that destruction is the engine of creation. I learned that forests are the way they are because of how they've been disrupted. I learned that the architecture of a stand reflects the way it understands a hurricane, and the shape of a seed belies the way it knows a predator. Disturbance, reorganization, restructuring. Just as these are attributes of forest life, they are also attributes of forestry school life. As we held on to each other, our bubble grew bigger and bigger, rising to new heights, allowing us to look out at the shining world around us from a new collective vantage point. Now, we feel the winds of change blowing around our delicate surface, and we sense the distorting waves of omnipresent evolution rippling through our emergent being. We look around once more at one another, and we savor these last moments of connection because we know it's time for the bubble to pop. After today, we will no longer be a bubble. We will be a network. And we will be a magnificent network. A shimmering array of filaments spread across the cosmos, alight with connections and reconnections, and the flashes of ideas and actions that can, that must, do the work that needs be done. If there are bubbles, then surely this was a very, very, very good bubble. Thank you for sharing it with me.
Hi, I'm Julie Zimmerman. I'm the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs here at F&ES, so I get to be the one to turn the conversation serious. the one to talk about what we did during the 2 years in the classroom and our curriculum here. F&ES is at our best when we teach. When we teach new ideas, new ways of thinking, new perspectives, and bring new voices into the conversation. We are at our best when we show how the natural world is connected to our society. We are at our best when our community does not just excel in academia, but when we have a positive impact in the world. We are at our best when we share our knowledge, when we lead, when we make change towards a more sustainable future. The awards I'm going to present to the students recognize our students at their best to make sure F&ES is always at our best. So I have 2 awards to present. The first is the F&ES Award for Excellence as a Teaching Fellow. The award was established to recognize outstanding contributions to an F&ES Teaching Fellow during this past academic year. They were nominated by faculty or by students in recognition of their contributions for outstanding service to advancing the educational mission of F&ES through intellectual, pedagogical, and logistical support for classes. Their exceptional service to the student body for enhancing the understanding of course material and for serving as a role model to other teaching fellows by setting high standards of professionalism, ethics, integrity, and expertise in the practice of teaching. So the 2 award winners for the teaching fellows this year are Bartandu Pandi and Jessica Wilkley. Yay. The second award I'm going to present is the Strawn Donnelly Award. This is a $500 award given in memory of Dr. Strawn Donnelly, a longtime friend, advisor, and benefactor of the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. This award is given to the graduating master's students who, through the combination of coursework, research, and leadership, best achieves Strawn Donnelly's ideal to blend the humanities with ecology and evolutionary biology in order to develop relationships between humans and nature that promote long-term health, social justice, and sustainability. And this year's winner of the Strawn Donnelly Award is Coral Balicki. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Our community is defined not just by the students that fill our halls, but the staff and faculty that shape and sustain our school over time. Each year, graduating students at F&ES recognize faculty and staff who have made a positive impact on our experience at the school. This is an opportunity to recognize staff and instructors who have made a unique impact on our time here. I'm Hannah Perigine, and I will be presenting our first award for supporting whole persons. The sentiment for this award is captured in this quote by our first awardee. Taking care of our students and creating a sense of home and community for everyone is not an easy task. It often requires compassion, sacrifice, and consistent care in our relationships. Creating a home is simply remembering. remembering who makes us strong when times get hard, remembering the family rituals we practice in the midst of hardship and joy. Most importantly, creating a home is about remembering that all of us have our own stories and experiences to share. Supporting students is about allowing memories and experiences to exist. That's from Kapiolani Laranal at the Native American Cultural Center here at Yale, who is unable to join us today but sent that message. This award is also presented to our new Assistant Dean of Community and Inclusion, who just arrived here and is already making students feel that they too belong, Thomas Easley. Is he here? No? Is he here? No? Okay. Is he not here? Apparently he's also not here. And this award is also presented to a person whose willingness to learn from and for the sake of his students, and who aligns his actions and values in a visible way, Professor Mark Bradford.
Hello, my name is Alexandra Vecchio, and I'm presenting the award for creating an inclusive classroom environment. This award recognizes an instructor who actively cultivates an inclusive classroom environment that opens up learning and expands horizons. As someone who has spent 3 semesters in the classroom learning from this wonderful professor, I couldn't think of a more deserving candidate for this award. It is my great pleasure to present this award to Dr. Shimmy Anisfeld.
My name is Laura Green, and I have the distinct honor of presenting the awards for excellence in curriculum design and pedagogy, which recognizes exceptional teachers here at F&ES. We as students are deeply grateful for the dedication, creativity that these individuals have shown in facilitating our learning. Our first awardee is the architect of the outstanding course, Renewable Energy Project Finance, Lecturer Daniel Gross. Not sure if he's with us today. On his way. We can hand it to you later, or you can come up later. Come on. Yeah. Our second awardee has worked tirelessly to connect students to ecology and natural history in the field, the Thomas G. Sikkema lecturer, Marlise Duguid.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Weston, and I'm thrilled to present the Unsung Hero Award. So this award goes to a staff member or a department whose work makes a meaningful impact at F&ES, but whose work is not often given the recognition it deserves. So this year, I am thrilled to announce that the award goes to the Facilities Department. Yeah, Izzy.
My name is Valerie Pinkerton, and the NESCS Award is given for bridging disciplines. It recognizes a staff member or instructor who crosses between disciplines, departments, or identity groups in a way that adds value to the school. And I'm very honored we have 2 winners for this award. And the first is Susan Clark. And Julie Zimmerman.
It turns out Thomas Easley is here. So since we all love clapping for him so much, Thomas Easley! Come right this way. Is he not? Okay, let's all pretend like he was here and received it. We tried twice. Our final award is the People's Choice Award, which recognizes all-around excellence and dedication in service to students and our community as a whole, and will be presented by our whole group. The awardee has told us that she is extremely honored and pleased to accept the award both on her own behalf and on behalf of the entire F&ES staff. Please join us in thanking Kathy Douglas of the Career Development Office.
Okay, just review of the rules because it's going to go pretty fast because I think a lot of people in the back are hungry. So first of all, you should all know we have a photographer here that will be taking pictures. So if you don't get the exact perfect picture, don't worry, we'll have some. And there's a lot of people with their phones that are taking pictures, so I'm sure you'll get it. Second of all, to the graduates, remember to line up. So some of you should already be lining up. Now I'm going to have to read her name twice. Where's Ellen Abramowitz? Okay, let's go. And Beryl. Okay, so here we go. Those, get ready to come up. Those receiving their master's, or actually have received their Masters of Environmental Management degree, Ellen Beth Abramowitz. Beryl Antiano Ajwang. Joseph Kwazi Ansu. Annie Arbuthnot. Margaret Barnes. Anthony William Bell. Lauren Elizabeth Boucher. Benjamin Bavarnik. Eve Dalrymple Boyce. Emily Catherine Brock. Meredith Brown. Alejandra Campo Haneco. Bowen Chang. Caitlin Alexa Chicklin. Catherine Elizabeth Cleary. Josh Constanti. Corey James Creedon. Oscar Crespo Peneas. Emma Nicole Crow Willard. Guyan Da Silva. Mark Kevin DeSantis. Ross Stewart Donahue. Kelechi Eliana. Sue Fon. Adam Ethan Fishman. Parfait Gasana. Chinora Lynette Gibbons. Rachel Rose Marie Graham. Emma Greenbaum. Marie Esther Guevara. Annie Guo. Gregory Michael Haber. Angie Hanawa. Caroline Elizabeth Hobbs. Franz Jorgen Hochstrasser. Camilo Jesus Uneas Guzman. Jeremy Joseph Hunt. Tasneem Afreen Islam. Sophie Elizabeth Mary Janeski. Sydney John Michael Jules. Lucy Emerson Bell Kessler. Carly Cannon Kierstead. Yu Kyun Kim. Kelly Elizabeth Neeland. Swetha Colleary. Brian Ho Young Lee. Rebecca Diane McClure Lehman. Christopher Lewis. Laurel Evelyn Lowe. Diego Manja Gutierrez. Catherine Martini. Okay. Catherine, did I do Catherine Martini? Oh yeah, I recognize this guy. David Edward McCarthy. Rachel McMonigal. Rachel McMonigal. Brenda Meany. Oh. Holly Woodward McLaughlin. Who's that? Latha. I got, oh yes, right, excuse me, I worked hard on this one. Lenka Lazo Ludenia, sorry. Brenda Meany. Casantha Moodley. Matthew Solomon Maroney. Rohini Mukherjee. Catherine Bernice Murray. Elizabeth Margaret Narrow. Monica Nunez Salas. Sana O'Connor Morberg. Katie Panic. Hannah Lois Peragine. Tui Fung. Yuten Punso. Valerie Pinkerton. Christina Payetska. Austin Wyatt Rempel. Grace Reville. Kate Cassidy Richard. Isabel Ryu. Daniela Rossi. Laura Elizabeth Small. Aidan Michael Smith. Abigail Jane Smith. Abigail Snyder. Esther Sosa. James David Whitner Souter. Natalie Ruth Spiegel. Nick Stoner. Eli Zachary Terrace. Brittany Ayana Tomas. Sharada Vadlamani. Alexander Elizabeth Vecchio. Adam Simonson Walker. Samuel David Wall. Kyle David Ward. Jason Warrington. Rachel Leslie Weston. Lindsay Jordan Wilson. Christopher Thomas Meesk Woodington. Natalie Woolworth. Chandan Yan. Matt Yo. Weiyang Zhao.
And now for our graduates receiving the Master of Environmental Science degree. Coral R. Bilecki. Linus Blomquist. Jolisa Brooks. Kevin Charles Doms. Adam Jacob Eichenwald. Eugene Tan Perk Han. Samuel E. Jordan. Ishen Lee. Samantha M. Marr. Brunilda Pizarro. Rachel R. Rennie. Noah M. Schlager. Elham Shireen Shabahat. Annie M. Stoth. Jessica G. Swindon. Lihi Yona. And now our graduates receiving the Master of Forest Science degree. Emily C. Dolhansky. Cameron L. Musser. Benjamin David Sonny Rifkin. Elizabeth Ballard Ward. Jessica Weichel.
Those receiving their degree of Master of Forestry: Asha Birch. Nicholas Christopher B. Miller. Julia Calderon Sendejas. Laura Eleanor Green. Yasha Magarik. Lydia Anna Mendoza. Ethan Francis Miller. Caroline Nicole Scanlon. Andrew David Wilcox. Receiving both the Masters of Environmental Management degree and the Master in Architecture, Caroline Ashutal. Joya Cannell. Dakota Anderson Cooley. Jacqueline Elizabeth Hall. Tess Kathleen McNamara. Receiving the Master of Environmental Management degree and the Juris Doctor, Rebecca Long Loomis. Receiving the Master of Environmental Management degree and the Master of Public Health degree, Nina Hatch. Receiving the Master of Environmental Science degree and the Master of Public Health, Cara Jane Donovan and Catherine Rose Wolf. Receiving the master. You're going to graduate.
Where are you going next? What's degree?
MBA?
Judith Anson?
Yeah. Judith Miriam Amsalem, receiving. Okay, receiving the Master of Environmental Management and the Master of Business Administration. Judith Miriam Amsalem. Martine Sionas. Shannon Dulaney. Luke Elder. Andrew Goddard Greaves. Victoria Greaves. Sarah Harari. Christopher K. Holtz. Lucas Will Johnson. Sabrina Corman. Danielle Moshe Field. Vivica Wynn Stackig Morris. Roland John Perry. Stephen P. Patricio. Jacob Bernstein Resnick. Laura Tomjeff. Santiago Zindel Mundet Cruz. Receiving the Master of Forestry degree and the Master of Business Administration, Andrew Scherer Beck. Jeremy Michael Menkhaus. Receiving the joint degree from Pace Law School, the Master of Environmental Management degree, and the Juris Doctor, Alexandra Dobles. What happened to Emily Sigmund? Okay, Emily Bunce?
We have a technical difficulty.
Yeah, me. Okay. Oh, the camera. Where's Emily? Let's go closer. Do we have?
Give an announcement. Here, Emily Sigmund. I got it, Emily Sigmund. What's
Good.
Emily Sigmund?
Okay, Master of Emily, come get your degree. I don't know how I left you out after that great speech. Emily Sigmund receiving her degree for her rodent sounds and bubbles. Receiving their joint degree from Tsinghua University, the Master of Environmental Management and the Master of Science in Environmental Engineering, Jingjing Zhang. Ziyun Ye. Ziyang Wu. Yuhan Zhang.
Gordon, make an announcement if they got the wrong degree to come up after.
Okay. Since nobody's perfect, if somehow we got you the wrong degree, you have the wrong diploma in there, come up, Joanne will get you the right one. or find the right person, or just keep the degree if you like it better. Now for the doctoral degrees.
Perfect. Oh my God, I don't know who's drinking it. I'm gonna drink it. Okay, graduates receiving the PhD. Matthew Archer. Advisor, Professor Michael Dove. Matthew's 323-page dissertation, A Pioneering Contribution to the Anthropology of the Corporate World, is based on an ethnographic study of sustainable finance in Geneva. Matthew spent a year observing and interviewing so-called sustainability professionals who work at measuring the costs and benefits of their financial institutions' commitment to sustainable development. The ambivalence experienced by these professionals as they weigh the pros and cons of sustainable development offers unique insights into the inherent contradictions of this concept. Matthew has accepted a position as assistant professor at the Copenhagen Business School. Gabriel Grant, advisor, Professor Marion Chertow. This dissertation explores whether and how a self-determined approach to sustainability based on internal rather than external motivations could support the transformative learning, internalization of values, and innovative design thinking needed for creating sustainable solutions. Drawing from positive psychology and positive organizational scholarship, self-determined motivations for sustainability are found to be the dominant employee experience of industry-leading firms. Lan Jean, advisor, Professor Michelle Bell. Dr. Jean comprehensively investigated whether maternal exposure to air pollution during pregnancy increases risk of adverse birth outcomes in a major industrial city in China. This ambitious dissertation combined epidemiological analysis, biostatistical modeling, and fieldwork with air quality measurements. Her research provides some of the first evidence that mothers' exposure to air pollution in utero is associated with congenital heart defects. She also generated the first highly spatially resolved exposure estimates for a major industrial city in China. Dr. Jin has accepted a postdoctoral position at the Yale School of Medicine. Max Lambert. Advisor, Professor Dave Skelly. During his master's work in my lab, Max uncovered a curious and important pattern. The sex ratio of a locally common amphibian, the green frog, varied with a degree of suburbanization of the surrounding landscape. The pattern seemed to implicate chemicals that may disrupt the endocrine systems of vertebrates like frogs and like us. To better understand what he saw, Max has spent the last 5 years digging into the worlds of analytical chemistry, endocrinology, molecular genetics, developmental biology, and much more. He has many great discoveries ahead of him. Max has accepted a postdoctoral position at UC Berkeley. Sadie Randall, combined F&ES and anthropology, PhD. Advisors, Professor Michael Dove and Professor K. Shiva Ramakrishnan. Sadie's 261-page dissertation focuses on the gray water revolution in Los Angeles, which aims to recycle and conserve water and reduce the problem of runoff, but with some unintended consequences, including uneven and unequitable development. The government reconceptualizes politically and economically marginalized neighborhoods as problematic in hydrological terms, and then makes them responsible for fixing the problems themselves. Based on extensive ethnographic fieldwork with public agencies, private sector actors, NGOs, and extraordinary citizens, Sadie's doctoral research makes a pioneering contribution to the emerging anthropology of infrastructure. She has accepted a 2-year postdoc at USC, followed by a 2-year postdoc at UC Berkeley. Noah Sokol. Advisor, Professor Mark Bradford. In his dissertation research, Noah advanced our knowledge of how soil carbon is formed and stabilized. His work is critical for improving models, agricultural management, and climate change projections that all rely on understanding the controls on this large and dynamic carbon store. At the same time as advancing our knowledge about soils, Noah has also invested in effective communication, serving as senior editor for Sage magazine. Dr. Sokol is considering postdoctoral positions in national labs on the West Coast and with university labs on the East Coast. Nikki Springer. Advisor, Professor Alex Felsen. To our knowledge, Nikki is the first student to receive an F&ES PhD and nearly simultaneously a Yale School of Management MBA. She was also awarded a prestigious EPA Star Fellowship to support her research. Her dissertation assessed and predicted land development and industry response to landscape scale planning and environmental regulation. Nikki is currently assessing the cost-benefit analysis of renewable energy development on public lands with the Wilderness Society. Michael Stone, Advisor, Professor Ben Kishore. Can global commodity value chains that have fostered economic development through agricultural expansion and logging that have contributed to deforestation and degradation also create the conditions through which governments might improve their policy capacity and authority? Through a historical review of China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the United States, Stone explores this question by assessing domestic responses to international legality verification efforts that attempt to weed out illegal forest products from global markets. Tim Turway, Advisor, Professor Alex Felsen. After several years working as a landscape architect and planner, Tim entered F&ES with critical questions about how social, ecological systems were being defined and the role of environmental experts. He bridged across multiple disciplines and worked closely with Susan Clark, Marian Turto, and others. His dissertation peels apart assumptions to examine the symbolic dimensions among environmental experts, including the generative process of ordering, valuing, and knowing that contribute to these dimensions. Tim is now working for Vermont's Agency of Commerce and Community Development and Agency of Digital Services.
Alexandria Moore, Advisor, Professor Oswald Schmitz. Many salt marsh ecosystems have been damaged due to shoreline development and pollution. But there's new movement afoot to restore the functioning of these salt marshes, and Alex's dissertation research contributes toward developing the scientific know-how to accomplish this. Alex's experimental research has painstakingly evaluated how different species of salt marsh crabs and cord grasses work together to drive salt marsh ecosystem functioning along the Connecticut shoreline. These experiments reveal the sequence in which different species must come together to build up the salt marsh ecosystem, thereby providing key insights about restoring its functionality. Chris Chagru. Advisor, Professor Karen Cito. Most of the scientific understanding about urban impacts of climate change has been limited to studies of individual cities. In this outstanding tour de force dissertation, Chris developed the first global model of how climate change impacts can spread and amplify through nearly 1,700 cities worldwide. Chris's research shows that smaller cities, which house most of the world's urban population, are proportionately more exposed to climate hazards than larger cities. His forthcoming paper in climatic change challenges conventional wisdom and will reshape our thinking about what it means for cities to be vulnerable and resilient. Kelly Stokes. Advisor, Professor Karen Cito. Although we are living on an urbanizing planet, we lack a scientific understanding of how urban land patterns affect sustainability. With a prestigious NASA Jenkins PhD fellowship, Kelly spent her doctoral summers doing research at NASA to fill this gap in knowledge by developing algorithms for NASA's new nightlight sensor. Building on her background in engineering, art, and math, Kelly's masterful dissertation utilizes nightlight satellite imagery with other geographic data to generate new insights on how urban land patterns affect human and environmental well-being. Her findings will be invaluable to science and policy communities such as the IPCC and the United Nations as they seek to develop comparable metrics of sustainable urbanization. Dr. Stokes will be starting a position as a research scientist at NASA this fall.
Okay, congratulations to all. We got to the end. A couple of announcements. There are 4 food tents, 3 right along here and 1 at the top of the stairs. Everything is compostable, so don't worry about where to throw it away. Just throw it in the green containers. Please sign our Forestry School book. I would like the people in the back, the parents and friends and family, to let the graduates exit first so we get them all out of the tent. Thank you all for attending. Oh, yeah, I forgot an important thing. Yeah. Well done.
Not to be forgotten. So I'm Joe McDougall. I'm the president of the Alumni Association. I get to be by far your shortest speaker. So first of all, let me be the first to congratulate you and announce you as newest members of the Alumni. Thank you. I want to encourage all of you, when you start getting settled, to look for the communication from the Alumni Association. Come get involved with us. We actively want you. I'm sure you will find it's true, as it was true for me, that you may be graduating today, but in spirit you never really leave F&ES. And through the Alumni Association, the F&ES never really leaves you. So the pin which you carry, everyone has their pin. Okay, as you stepped off the stage, you were handed one. What I would like you to do is I would like you to please rise and turn to your neighbor and affix the pin on your neighbor. This is a small physical reminder of your time here at F&ES. It's upper left or do your best. When you are pinned, please sit down. Okay. Okay. Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Welcome to the alumni. And once again, congratulations on a job well done. Thank you.
Okay. 2 announcements. 1, don't forget to take the pin off before you give the robe away, okay? So you want to keep it. And last, class dismissed. Thank you all for coming.